Greetings, everyone. This is Adoration. This is our chat and chew. I'm your host, Lewis McElwain, known as Mac. And tonight I have a very special treat for you. We are going to have a conversation with Karolina Stancik. Just a little bit about Karolina. Karolina is a 23-year-old athlete, patriot, and Christian who just wanted to help others and serve her country when she joined the Army National Guard. In order to serve, she took the COVID-19 vaccine, but tragically, her life has been permanently altered because of it. After 2 doses of the Moderna vaccine, Karolina has had 2 heart attacks and a mini stroke, and she suffers from multiple other ailments and complications because of the vaccine. The future of her health is uncertain at this point. Now, TRICARE, the military medical system, is not paying her medical bills, and she stands to face more than $35,000 in medical debt on top of the tens of thousands in treatment and travel costs that will be required to get her the proper medical care to hopefully recover fully. We wanted to take an opportunity to have a chat and chew with Karolina because she is a very special person in my life, and just so excited for the opportunity to get to share with her, hear her story, and I want you guys to hear it too. God bless. I have had many privileges in my life, being on the mission field, going to different places. Those places have included Rwanda and Kenya, and soon I'll be in Nepal. Also in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And I'm purposely leaving out one place because the young lady that you see with me has a familiarity with the place that I'm going to mention, because that place and the woman who would end up being my wife is the connecting factors to have us at this place today, where we're going to just do a chat and chew. So just for transparency, I just want you guys to know that we're going to be talking about some very, very serious subjects in this conversation, but we will do it with the discernment from the Lord that the things that we share would give him honor, would give him glory, and give him all praise. So the aforementioned place that I'm talking about is Chiquimula, Guatemala. And the young lady that I'm talking about and will be talking to is Karolina Stancik. So Karolina, how are you?
I am good. How are you?
I am doing very, very well. So as a way of just allowing our audience to get to know you, I want to tell them the way that I got to know you, and also lead up to the subject matter that's going to be the focal point for this conversation. But I have to start by saying that in 2016, that was one of the most incredible years of my life. It was actually the year after my dad passed, and it was the first time that I ended up taking a small mission team to Chiquimula, Guatemala, in support of a little woman there by the name, at that point, her name was Myra Smith. And I'm thinking, Karolina, I'm just going there to do my mission. And my mission was to drop off some computers. I had gotten about
50 computers that were going to be used for the young adult education program that she had going at that time. And, do a little ministry as well. But I certainly wasn't going to Guatemala in any way to have a love connection. But as God would see fit, that's exactly what happened. And in the span of 10 days, I knew that I was going to marry Myra. And so our audience is asking, well, why is he starting off in that direction? Well, I'm going to let you guys know that the moment that I made that decision to marry Myra, and before we actually got married, one evening when we were back in the United States, in Maryland specifically, she invited me to go and meet a group that had also gone to Guatemala. And so I end up coming to this home, beautiful home. And the moment that I walked in, from my view, it seemed like there were 500 young people in there. Well, it's probably not 500, but but probably at least 30 in there. So I don't know. All I know is that, Karolina, most of the time, I don't really get intimidated by large groups, but all that youth and all that energy going on in there, I was scared out of my wits because I'm like, what in the world do I say to all of them? But eventually, I got to meet your mom, I got to meet you, and so many other crazy characters. And by the end of the night, as you probably remember, I went through a diatribe of how I got to meet my wife and propose to her that had you guys falling out on the floor laughing. That's my memory of you. But then it went to a different level because I tried to follow as many of you that had gone on missions to my wife's location. And in doing that, I kept tabs on you too. So it's not like, just for disclosure, it's not like I was checking on Karolina personally, every few days or months or weeks or anything like that. But it did make me want to inquire everything that was going on in your life, from your athletic experiences to what eventually would be your pursuit of the military, and then beyond that. And so I want to say right off the jump that, Karolina, I am a great admirer of you.
Thank you.
Because of your life, your witness, which our audience will hear about momentarily, and just the determination and the perseverance to be able to deal with trying circumstances that at the age of 23, you are still 23, right?
23. A month ago.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, that in that short amount of time, you already have a wealth of experiences that would blow the average person's mind. And I've got to say that through it all, you have stood tall, you have held your ground when others that should have supported you and could have supported you fell by the wayside. You, my dear, you determined and still are determining that you will be an overcomer, which is consistent with the scriptures. And I'm a fan. I don't have enough words to express the admiration that I have for you. And I'm not doing this because I want to inflate your ego, but I want to say this because, you give credit to where credit is due. And we know that God gets all the glory. But God also uses those that are in our midst in order to show his strength, to show his dominion, and to show his authority and his majesty. As I said before, what we are going to chat about for the most part today is one of a serious nature, and it all stems from the effects of the vaccine shot, the COVID vaccine shot. And full disclosure, and this is me making this disclosure, I am here today as one who is a proponent of not taking the vaccination. And not only that, but that because of the nature and the lack of research into formulating that vaccine, I just want people to understand, in no way am I critical if you made a decision to take the jab, as they call it. But for me, for spiritual reasons, and even for some medical reasons, I decided not to do that. And the more that time goes by, the more that I am actually so thankful that I did not do it. And Karolina, I almost got close because I went to Kenya last year, and up until almost the last minute before my trip, they were requiring the shot. And I was going to do it for the sake of the gospel, but with a lot of apprehension. But about a week before the trip, they ended that protocol, and as long as you could test negatively for COVID, they would allow you entry. And so I had a pre-existing condition because I had triple bypass surgery in 2017. And so without, having more research and, more of an idea of the residual effects, I was so glad that I did not have to take the shot. But I know that for reasons of employment and other reasons, people were literally forced into putting something in their bodies that they may or may not have wanted to do. And this is where I'm going to transition, and I'm going to give you the floor in which you can share your story in any way that you see fit.
Yeah. Awesome. So my name's Karolina. As some of you might know me, obviously I know Mac and Miss Myra. Met them, 2016, 2017?
2016.
2016. So I did 2 missions trips to Guatemala, Chiquimula specifically. Got pretty close to Miss Myra and been staying on track, just kind of watching what they're doing. And obviously they've been watching what I've been doing. 2018, I decided to go to college. And by 2020, I had made the decision to join the military. With that being said, because I'm in the military, I do have to disclaim that every thought, opinion, and experience will be my own. I'm not representing the DoD or the US Army. With that being said, when I joined the military, it was pretty early 2020, February of 2020. So I just got my 2 years today. So I'm not really sure. I got the vaccine. We were told it was going to be mandatory early on in March and April of 2020. 2021, I believe. Yeah. Okay. I'm a year off. So 2021, everything happened. And so got the vaccine, and the results of it were pretty quick. Symptoms between numbness, first fever of my life. I had gotten tingling, lack of motor functions. There was headaches, pressure in my chest, high heart rate. Everything I never experienced a day in my life, I experienced. And so not really sure what to do, but I had already joined the military. And so I was cleared medically to go in and keep going. With that being said, shipped out and things have progressively gotten worse. And so now we are current. And since then, I've gotten 2 heart attacks, a mini stroke. I've developed severe asthma and enlargement in my heart, and pending a neurological diagnosis. I had my first MRI of my brain this morning, actually.
But can you just share your thoughts, like when you thought that the shot would be mandatory? How did you feel about that personally, as far as, putting that substance into your body? Did you have any thoughts? Was there any apprehension? How did you feel?
Honestly, I was working at the ER at the time and I knew that they were going to push it. I wasn't sure how far it was going to go, but my job ended up not pushing it, but the military did. And I knew from 7th grade, I was going to join the military, wanted to serve, protect my country, and fight for others. Come to find out that this is now the way that I am fighting for people's freedom, as I'm not obviously on the battlefield, not doing my job in the military now. I am speaking out. I was very, very, very hesitant towards getting the vaccine, and I knew that something didn't seem right. There was a lot of pressure, there was a lot of coercion, and I had experienced people saying, "You're not a decent human being, your character was questioned." And so I knew why I joined the military. And I knew that I was only in for a month and like some change. And so I decided that was probably the next step I had to take. I didn't know that you got an option in the military to get a religious exemption. I didn't know that you could leave the military without going AWOL. I didn't know most of these things. I didn't know you get legal assistance. I didn't know you could fight for your basic rights. We joined. They said you sign your life over to the military, and I really had that mindset that, okay, I guess I just have to deal with this. And so whatever happens, happens. And it just so happened to be that I was in the military and under their care, or lack thereof, and experienced what I would consider a living hell and a worse nightmare.
Yes. And, the concern that I have, and you kind of expressed that in what you just shared, is that it's the stigma of whether you've taken the shot or not taken the shot, and people's reactions to that. It just seems like the overall media, possibly even the medical community, have made people that decided not to take the vaccination, made people like pariahs. And I think I can understand, first of all, you've dedicated your life to the military. You had a plan. And honestly, Karolina, I love it. I mean, how many times do you hear people that are just, full throttle, wanting to actually represent our country, flaws and all, but to say that we are still, agents of freedom and the quote American way. And what seems to have happened from my point of view is that everything that's un-American has actually happened to you. I get the feeling, and you can elaborate or correct me, now that you have come out and talked about the effects of taking the shot, how have the general community received you? How has the military received you? How has the medical community received you and your message?
Right. Honestly, it's been a very weird and diverse situation where some people are in full support. Some people are like, you need to speak out, get legal help, things like that. Then on the other half of the spectrum, you're dealing with people who are saying, stop spreading false news, stop saying that vaccines are bad. And it was never a vaccine is bad. It was just this shot was not safe and effective for everyone. And you force people to take something that they were uncertain of. I was uncertain, and now I have to live with the consequences of it. If I'm 23 and I was healthy at 20, 21 years old, 100% never been to the ER, never seen an ER bed in my life, never, ever, ever had an EKG done on me, never experienced a fever in my life. Tell me why that should be a normal thing. That's an adverse reaction to something that no one has to deal with. And people should have the choice if they want to get something and something bad happens to them. They had the choice of it, not someone forced them, not someone pressured them, not someone made them feel less than a person because of a decision they made for themselves. The military, on the other hand, the medical within the military, I guess you could specifically say, has dropped the ball 100%. There was cancellation of appointments, post-heart attacks. I was dealing with 8 months worth of waiting to get a pulmonologist, which would be a lung doctor, cardiologist. And now I'm seeing neurologist a month and a half or a year and a half later from my original symptoms. Time is crucial in this whole thing. And as quick as for the vaccine, they're as quick to sit there and deny you the care that you need. And so it was just like, what is going on? Something's wrong. I get people supporting me. I get people telling me, I didn't get the vaccine for this reason. And I sit there, you know what? I'm proud of you. I'm thankful that some people took that stand, because guess what? Now we don't have those vaccine mandates because someone stood up. Then there's some of us who, like myself and some others I know, we've been injured by the vaccine, gone under severe complications, and now we're the proof of why you don't get the vaccine if you don't want it. And so you got this borderline ethical, moral issue. And it's just, they talk about a lot of autonomy within the medical field, but there was none of that. You show your vaccine card. Well, why do people need to know what's in my body? Why do people need to know my medical history? You can't go here, you can't go there if you don't have that. Well, we never did that with any other vaccine. Something's weird about that. And what if you don't get it because you have health complications? Well, people were being denied medical exemptions in the military. People were being denied religious exemptions. And personally, now that I understand that I was able to get one, if I would have pursued one, alone just saying my body is my temple, I'm not supposed to harm it and do damage to it and add things that were not meant to be there, should be enough to sit and say, I don't need that. And I don't have to get it. That's my personal view. And people had to write essays and essays and essays and still got denied. And it's, who are you to tell me what my religion allows and what it doesn't? I have personal convictions, and so do others.
Exactly. And, from a Christian perspective, it seems that when you even talk about religious exemptions, it seems that actually Christianity is the platform that is actually ostracized the most, as if you can't be taken seriously because you actually say that your body is the temple of God and that you want to honor God with your body. That's literally what you're just saying to me. And again, it speaks to everything that we as a country have actually fought and died for. The liberty to be able to speak out in a normal, moral way if you are against something. And that's why I look at you and I just see nothing but heroism, because, yes, okay, you took the shot without having the understanding of maybe some of the other options that you had. But at the same time, now that you have proof of the injuries that you have gotten since that shot to be able to tell your story is your God-given right and is constitutionally allowed by the very military system in which you embraced. And so, again, I have nothing but, admiration for you sharing your story, to be on this platform and the other platforms that you have dealt with over the past year or so. And, I wanted our audience to not just hear my understanding of this type of situation, but I wanted them to hear from the source. And Karolina, you are so much more than just a victim. And I want to kind of backtrack just a little bit, because I think that sometimes we might just see your name or the name of other people that may have a similar experience. That's all they are, just a name. And maybe all that they get from, your message is just, oh, well, that's her issue. In other words, they don't necessarily know that there is a human being behind all of this.
Yeah.
And
oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go ahead, please.
Someone had made a comment to me the other day, and it was based off of my race, and that it's just, people of my race that are coming forward and speaking out about this. And what came to mind was, in the end of a day, I'm a human. In the end of the day, people who died of COVID or whatever was going on, they are humans. That's someone's mother, father, sister, brother, son, daughter, whatever it may be, someone's best friend, someone's, it could be like an acquaintance. It could be your classmate. It could be anyone in your church congregation. They are, end of the day, a human, and they have a life, they have feelings, and they have their trials. And the biggest issue is that we're sitting there and demonizing people who are talking about suffering and making it a political issue when it has nothing to do with politics. It has everything to do with caring about an individual as a human being.
With that said, I want to backtrack a little bit, because we want to talk about the human Karolina Stancik. And that human being had aspirations. And I want to start with the aspirations that you had in athletics.
Yeah.
Talk to us a little bit. I mean, like, what were you doing? What did you hope that you could do in the future that maybe you can't do now because of the injuries that you sustained from this vaccination?
I've been playing sports since I was as little as can be. So probably preschool. Started playing basketball, was raised playing basketball, multiple teams throughout middle school, high school. Did not continue basketball, but started training different soccer players that wanted to carry on and play in high school. So basketball, soccer, softball, cross country, and I took up swim as well. And every sport under the sun, I thought, like, phenomenal athlete, in best shape of my life. Maybe I'm not the best one on the court or in the field, whatever it is. But in the end of the day, I was athletic and I was in shape and my body was built strong. That's what I was meant to be. And that's who I was up until this whole thing. Joined the military, obviously got in the military. You have to be healthy enough for that. During college, right before the military, I had aspirations. I was going to follow after David Goggins and I was going to run his 4x4x48. And now walking a mile, walking 2 miles is just not the same anymore. Standing up, my heart rate jumps to 192. Just little things like that. I went to the gym yesterday trying to bounce back and just train my body to like chill out when it goes under pressure. And not even a full set of squats in, no weight, nothing like that, just 192 heart rate. And sitting there winded, and I'm thinking, what is going on? I used to be able to run like for 10 miles at a time. Wanted to run 4x4x48. David Goggins, his message is stay hard and don't let anything get in the way of you, pushing for your dreams and goals, and don't let people stop you. The guy had heart complications. He had different medical issues, broken bones, whatnot, like toughest guy on this earth. And I'm sitting here, I'm like, am I gonna stay alive? I let my mom know in February of 2022. I was like, honestly, I have a fear that I'm probably gonna die before you. With that being said, as a young person, how do you handle those things? And the human mind, I mean, your physical being affects your emotional being. And so not only do I experience anxiety just from the unknown, but then the depression and like self-worth and things like that. And it's just like a constant spiral. And so human side of me is like, I'm strong, I'm built for better. Obviously God's called me to be better and bigger than what I am right now. But I've obviously had to take steps way back and to things I've never experienced a day in my life. And now it's just a daily battle.
As you were sharing, Karolina, it made me think about Dan, our son, Dan. And Dan. And, definitely different circumstance, but he also had aspirations really to go to the Olympics, and he was good enough to do that until he sustained an injury. That injury actually wiped him out for any future competition on that level. And similar to what you're going through even now is that, so then what do you do with something where you had lifelong aspirations, and as you said yourself, you're made strong, you are athletic, and so that is part of your identity. And just for our audience, because I don't know if people really understand the mental and spiritual fortitude it takes to be able to have to change directions and go from your body being a physical asset to it being a liability. From a spiritual and human perspective, how do you deal with that?
To be honest, I don't really know. It's day by day. There's days I wake up and I have my quote unquote good days. If it's only asthma kicking me pretty hard, then I'll take it because it's not my heart. If it's just my heart and not my asthma, I'll take it. And there's things like that that are my good days. I live in Florida now, trying to get the sun, trying to get the beach to relax, because that's the only way I can really do it. I mean, I'm on medications. There's almost not a single medication I haven't been on. And
Okay.
and so with that, I mean, medications have side effects and they cause the mental, I guess you could say depression, anxiety, things like that. They all have side effects. And so I've never, ever experienced depression the way I have. And so I saw a therapist. I didn't really get to connect with them all that much. And so I'm pretty much living in my own head. The only way I've really processed things is talking about it and going public and sharing with other people. That's like the most healing part of this emotionally, is hopefully protecting someone else from this, because I would not wish it on my worst enemy.
Understood. And again, that's one of the reasons why I'm definitely on Team Karolina, because you could just wallow in just self-defeat based on your circumstances, but you have been aggressive, which is probably the athlete in you.
Yeah. I'm a fighter.
Yeah.
Fighter.
Yeah. And you're flexing, and I love it. I have a great appreciation for those that will stand against the system or against persecution or anything like that, because that's where you really find those who really believe in whatever they say they believe in. It's not so much the circumstances that are tailor-made for you, it's when adversity comes up. It's when maybe the people around you, family around you, employers around you, when they fail or fall short, and you're left with having to deal with the aftermath of that and to move forward, to, as the Bible would say, to press toward the mark for the prize of the high calling in Christ. And that's what I see when I look at you and having this conversation with you. I just see that already it has been such an upward climb. And for our audience, they need to understand this climb is still in process. We are not at the finish line by any means. Yeah. We need to pray for Karolina. We need to pray for others that have similar stories, because these, again, are real cases where real persecution has taken place. And, Karolina, I just need you to know that you do have a support system with myself, with Myra, and we're going to make sure we will support you as well. But kind of moving on, because athletics is one thing, but the mission field is another thing. And even that, if you ever desire to do that again, has been hindered. So tell our audience what the mission experience was like for you.
It sounds cliche, but it was once in a lifetime type of chance you get to experience, and no experience was the same as the other. And so one of the biggest things I remember, which actually made me cry when I was there, was the lack of fathers. That's like your main support system. That covering over your head is the lack of fathers. And I would see kids running around, barely have homes there, barely have food. And moms are, they obviously have multiple kids. And there was only one father I had seen the whole time I was there. And I was just like, that is just so sad. I guess you could sort of say, that like ties into what I'm experiencing. You need that support system. And so people need advocates. You don't have a support system, you need someone to advocate for you. And yes. I think that seeing that opened my eyes to a lot more, because in the United States, we're super blessed. We complain about a lot, but we're super blessed for what we do have. We don't understand until you go elsewhere. You're just like, what in the world? Like, how do people live like this? Well, that's normal in a lot of places. That's their normal. And so I think that that mission experience, opened my eyes, opened my heart, and just kind of created a really soft spot in who I am. I used to be a little bit cold, I would say, a little rough around the edge. Don't mess with me type of person, but they definitely created a soft spot in me.
I am literally sitting in the place that you have visited 2 times. Oh. Yes, I am here. At this point, we split time between Maryland and Chiquimula, Guatemala, and then some of my ministry pursuits take me into other areas of the world. So I have your Miss Myra traveling all over the place with me. Yeah. So last year we were in both Kenya and Rwanda.
Okay.
This year we plan on being in Nepal, Kenya, Rwanda, and who knows, I might even sneak in another one, and she doesn't even know that. But you're absolutely correct when you're talking about the lack of male presence. It has actually been good for me to live partially in this area, because every time this community sees myself and Myra, they
Yeah.
actually get to see a family.
Yeah.
You know, because in marrying Myra, she had a biological daughter, and as you know,
Amy,
she
right?
also, yeah. So she has Amy and Dan, and you know, in asking her to be my wife, I understood that in all three cases, these are people that did not have a consistent male presence. And I knew that I would have to be that for them, you know, and I embraced that role. And honestly, in my own heart of hearts, I'm embracing it with you as well. I have a fatherly affection for you and others of your age bracket, because so many of you have come out of situations where there hasn't been a father, a biological father, a substitute father, or just a male presence that would actually, you know, garner direction, you know, righteously and in holiness. And that really, I mean, that's a whole nother conversation for a whole nother day, but it does cripple our nation and ultimately the world, in that there has just been a loss of the male presence in Christianity. And so just the fact that you brought that up, wow, it just kind of took me in that direction. But I'm going to get back on point. The mission field is a place that I would recommend that everybody at least once in their life would experience, because it will make you appreciate the United States a
Yeah.
lot more.
I'm from, I came here and I'm like, you know, things could be much worse here. And going to Guatemala, I'm like, things are worse there than Lithuania. And no one's going to understand that unless you explore and you find out. And that's the biggest thing, that you need to do that. I mean, now
Absolutely.
not something I can just easily do, because any day anything could happen. I've realized that. And like, by the grace of God, the days that go by that I don't end up in the ER, the days that go by where I'm not like feeling like I'm going to die, those days are great, but those aren't probable. You know, if I leave the country, what's going to happen if something happens to me? I'm now out of sort of medical care.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, that's some of the same challenges I have too, with certain things, because again, I've also had, you know, I've had triple bypass and some other complications that we old guys get. So that's always a consideration when you're doing travel, especially long-term travel.
Yeah.
But I want to also just ask you, through it all, you've had instances where you have not received support, but you've also had some great support out there. And I want you to just take a moment, if you don't mind, to just share your support system.
Yeah. Moved to Florida, moved into this apartment I'm currently in now. And my roommate had said, you know, reach out to this individual for their safety and their, you know, their name to be kept okay. I won't name them. But I reached out to that individual and she had pointed me to someone by the name of John Bose. And John Bose has been speaking out. He's been advocating for me. He's been finding me resources. He got me in contact with doctors, legal help, everything under the sun. Phenomenal. And then financial aid as well, since I've lost my job due to all of this. I can't work as much. Missed a month of work for post-stroke. so I could go get treated. And I never, ever, ever felt so supported in my life. And it's not even by like my own family. It was people that have never met me a day in their life in person. And like, you're supporting me from Guatemala and we've met, but people who are like in Nevada and like New Mexico and things like that, or whatever state it is, I have people reaching out from Poland. I've gotten support from people all over the world who've never met me a day in their life.
And, and I know that you mentioned that, a lot of this support, what you're saying is really come from strangers that you'll probably never meet. And isn't it interesting how God works, that what I've learned over the years is that you end up finding out that your real family is very global and not necessarily the ones that are biological.
Ain't that the truth? Come from people all over the world, but the people that are like literally an hour and a half south of me, it's like, we'll pray for you. I'm like, that's good. I appreciate it. But at the same time, prayers need to be followed up by, support, and like doing things in the background is good. But to keep my mental game strong so I don't cave into like the negative thoughts or, just the normal stress of going to an appointment by myself. It's a lot for me to process, I need to get this, and this in line. It's just so much now that my quickest response is crying, breaking down, getting frustrated, impatient with myself. It's like, there's things I really can't help anymore.
Again, I am just so appreciative that so many from so many different places around the world have, had compassion upon you. And, that's one of the reasons that we all do what we do. That's why you're doing what you do, because you have to know that there's somebody out there that has either already gone through what you've gone through, or could be forced by an employer or by a university or educational facility, or by whatever other organizational institutions out here, to do something similar. And again, you have gone basically from athletics to the mission field to the military, and now we've got to put another label on you, which is now advocate.
Yeah. Which I wanted to advocate for people for the longest time. In November, December of 2021, I had decided, I called my mom and told her, I was like, I feel like I need to go to Florida. She's like, why? And I was like, I just feel like I need to. There's something there, might go investigations, not sure. But I had wanted to go into advocacy and I didn't know what it was for, but I knew that's what I was called to. And ever since then, obviously I've been on this trek of advocating for myself, but I realized it's bigger than me and it's bigger than just the people like next to me. It's worldwide, and I'm okay speaking out on it. There's people who can't speak out because of fear, loss of jobs, loss of family. People's lives are literally on the line. Other countries, I know someone who literally got killed for not getting the vaccine. Like they came over to our country and I was coaching them because I coach swim now.
Okay.
And
Good.
it was like, I think this was actually the day of the stroke. She had come to me and she was like, hey, you don't look okay. I was like, yeah, I just don't feel good. I was like, just everything's tingling, numbness, whatnot. I was like, my head feels like it's going to explode. So we're just talking. She's like, how long has this been going on? And I told her, and she goes, that's why I didn't let my kids get it. And they told me where they were from. And she had said that her daughter had died. And I was like, from what? And she's like, she got killed because she didn't get the vaccine. And I was like, that is what it gets that serious. People kill themselves over this stuff.
Yeah.
There's got to be an end to that. There is no reason people should be losing their lives over that.
You have shown a courage under fire that I know you didn't anticipate. I'm sure that if you were to show that courage in the original plan that you had, that would have been on the battlefield, in the military. But you know, God is a rewarder to them that diligently seek him. The thing that's interesting about God is that, but we never quite know what that means.
Yeah.
And so, you know, what has happened to you, Karolina, is just so God, because he has taken what was meant for your harm, and he
Yeah.
has literally turned that around for your good, but not just for you, because God never just deals with what's good for the individual. He now speaks through you, that through your advocacy and wherever else he may lead you, you are indirectly saving so many more lives than you probably could have done in military service.
I believe
and
it.
That's yeah. And that's why I know I'm sounding like a broken record, but that's why I continuously just keep wanting to just applaud you. And I'm so grateful that you've taken this time today to spend with us. And your story is just simply incredible. And the beautiful thing about it is that it's not over yet. And I mean, you have so much more life to live. And I, like I've already been doing, I'm going to be peeping in every once in a while to just see, oh, where's she at next? Who is she talking to next? Oh my gosh, what platform has been created for her next? All I'm saying, in my fatherly way, that I love you. I love you as a daughter, as many of my other children would attest. Once you're in my family, you can't escape.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, Karolina, as we get ready to wrap things up, I want to just give you a moment to just share anything with another audience on what you're going through, maybe an encouragement, however the Lord is leading you. You basically have the final say so.
Okay, so I wrote something the other day, and this was reaching back to, I was getting negative comments. People were justifying my struggles, my health complications, saying that, well, it saved other people. But I was like, you know me personally, what justifies a 21-year-old having a heart attack? You know,
Yes.
it seems so inhumane. And you sitting there and bashing other people for not getting this shot, or bashing people now for getting the shot. You know, I've been bashed, well, you should have never gotten it, you're dumb. And it's like, listen, everyone has their reasons, everyone has their why. And so I wrote something. It was titled, "I'm sorry, I thank you, and we will get through this." I don't know how to even express this. The comments I've received range from supportive to simply degrading. For everyone who got any of these shots, I'm sorry. I know what it was like to be in a position where your character was questioned. You were not allowed to be with your family, but even more, you needed to simply support yourself and your family. Thank you for doing what you felt was necessary. I'm sorry for any harm it has done to you. For anyone who did not get the shot or stopped when you realized something was wrong, thank you for standing tall and strong. Thank you for following your convictions. Thank you for fighting that side of this battle. Please be gracious to anyone who did get the shot. We need your support. For anyone who was injured, I'm sorry. You do not deserve it. You probably struggle on the daily. I get it. I experience it every day. You have now become a statistic, but we will have to stand up and find solutions. We need to protect anyone else from this. For anyone who harassed your family and friends into getting this shot, my heart is saddened. There are more people than myself who will never live life the same. There are people who have died so suddenly that there is nothing they can do to speak for themselves. I get it. You probably thought you were justified at telling people what to do because you were scared of a virus, but that same fear was so prevalent when it came to the shot. I hope you now understand that people like myself and others you have seen on the news is the why behind being scared. For everyone who experienced any mental, physical, emotional distress and hurt, I am sorry that you went through it. It's time we come together and put this to rest. I will speak out for everyone that allows me to. Not all vaccines are bad, but it's apparent that this shot and virus was nothing like we expected.
Wow. Wow. That's a that's a perfect ending. Karolina, on behalf of my various Adoration platforms, we just extend a big, big thank you for your testimony, for your life, for your advocacy, just everything. This has been an incredible experience. And you know what? Before I sign off, I didn't even do what I was supposed to do. Please, please, please give our audience the information that they need in order to be able to support you financially or to reach out to you.
So I do have a Give Send Go. John Bose had created it, and it's going to be www.givesendgo.com/Karolina with a K. That will be the Give Send Go. And then you can find me on Twitter. It's going to be at Stancik, Caroline with a K and an E at the end, not a Karolina. If you want to reach out to me via Facebook, you can find me there. I'm in Mac's Facebook friends. You can definitely find me there.
All right. And I'll make sure that that is also posted on various links as well. Karolina, it has been amazing. God bless you. And on behalf of our Adoration platform and all the different areas that this will be shared, we just extend our love, our support, and I will be, along with Myra, probably starting in March, we're going to make sure that we also get to that Give, Send, Go, and not only put our mouth to your support, but also put our dollars to that support as well.
I appreciate it.
All right. God bless you. And again, thank you. And for our Adoration audience, until we see each other again, may God keep you in his perfect peace with our minds stayed on him. God bless you.
Thank you.